Four large buttocks sitting on the road. Four large buttocks sitting on the road. And if one large buttock should happen to explode, there'll be three large buttocks sitting on the road. Three large buttocks sitting on the road. And if one large buttock should happen to explode, there'll be two large buttocks sitting on the road. Two large buttocks sitting on the road, and if one large buttock should happen to explode, there'll be one large buttock sitting on the road. One large buttock sitting on the road. And if that large buttock should happen to explode, there'll be no large buttocks sitting on the road. And that'd be quite a tragedy, really, wouldn't it? Imagine that, a road without any large buttocks. Oh, hello, it's 11 o'clock. Right, that's me in it. Okay, here I go. Wish me luck. Take my comfort blanket. Good evening, darlings, and a very warm welcome to this Tuesday Night Live with me, Boaty. And I am going to be coming into your eyes and ears and possibly other orifices as well, if the fancy takes me, over the next 60 minutes of pleasant, respectful, definitely not filthy chat, fun, and community activity. On the subject of community activity, it's absolutely lovely. Honestly, it warms the heart of my cockles to see that you guys are all chatting before I get there. That's lovely. It makes me think that I wasn't entirely daft when I came up with this notion of trying to make a YouTube channel a community thing rather than a look at me, I've got a beard and I'm going to bugger about with cars and you all send me money or buy mugs off me. No, I wanted it to be a nice, warm, fuzzy together thing where we all tickle each other until we wet ourselves. And I'm delighted to say that's exactly what it's become over the couple of months that I've been doing this. Couple of months? Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it, darlings? Now then, who have I got? I hope you've had a good day, by the way. Subjects for discussion. Well, once again, this is in theory a joint live stream with UK singles. None of them will turn up. I will put the video up onto the singles YouTube channel, which I did with last night. It's up there. It's on the singles YouTube channel. Guess how many people have watched it? Go on, guess. Well, I can't be bothered to look, but I expect you are guessing. One person has watched it, and I happen to know who that one person was. Me. It was me. I've got a YouTube channel. I've put a video up, and I've had 0 views. That's brilliant, isn't it? I like a challenge. Now, speaking of challenges, who have I got with? Who have we got with us tonight? We've got Steve Colg. We have got Neil Gibbons, also known as the Gibbonator, also known as the Very Nice Man, certainly in a professional capacity. And he has upgraded his membership to Connoisseur, the top level, which means that he's supporting me even more than he was. And I am exceedingly grateful for that. Thank you, Neil. And while I'm at it, thank you to all of you other channel members and anybody who sends me a super chat or a super sticker like Jimmy did last night, and fantastic channel members like Mark, who are not only channel members himself, and Neil has done this, and so has Joe, but has gifted channel membership so that other people who might not be so financially blessed, although you don't need to be all that financially well blessed to be a channel member. They start at just 99p per calendar month. And remember that that's calendar with an A at the end. Well, not right at the end, just before the R, and not an E. Many people spell calendar wrong, and you can't blame them. And I don't blame them. And I wouldn't poke them with a stick for making that mistake. It's a mistake I've made. I mean, there are lots of reasons why I would love to poke people with a stick or even with an electric cattle prod, but that isn't one of them. Speaking of Jimmy Quinn, he's here with us. Good evening, Boaty and all. Ah, the lovely Barry is here. Evening all. I'm on a training course for work, so I'm reduced to enlightening myself by reading historical novels in a Super 8 hotel. And I don't know what a Super 8 hotel is. I'm guessing it's an Australian chain and probably the equivalent of our Premier Inn or something like that. And for reasons of full disclosure, I will admit that I made a bit of that up. He didn't really say that he was trying to better himself by reading historical novels. He actually said he was going to be having a wank. But I want this live stream to be on a more family friendly, on a higher spiritual and moral level than talking about lonely wanks in cheap hotels. So I glossed over that and put a better slant on it. And I'm sure you're grateful. Hello, you lovely lot, says Trace, the Greenwood, and wombles, horseradishes, earthworms, and fireflies. How are we all diddling tonight? Well, we know how bad he's diddling. He's diddling himself in a Super 8 hotel. This is likely, goes on Trace, to be my last Boaty live before Christmas, unless there's one on Friday or Saturday. Well, we'll have to see what we can do there, Trace. So, Merry Christmas to all, she says. She cries, because she typed that in capital letters. So, if she was actually doing that in real life, I imagine her arms would be outstretched and she would say, Merry Christmas to you all. And I imagine the bits would jiggle as they just did on me. I mean, they've settled down now, but there was absolute jiggling going on there. And I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm not going to deny it, darlings. Oh, no. Hi, Trace. Thank you, Barry. Oh, dear. Pingu Concord is with us. Greeting, Internet Reverend. Are you taking confessions tonight? Darlings, I am always happy to put my ministerial and ecclesiastical hat on, as it were. I mean, I have actually got my religious headgear. It's just over there. I could literally put it on if you wanted me to. I'm always happy to put that hat on and take your confessions or deal out some spiritual advice or do an exorcism or, I don't know, bless your bowel movement or anything of that nature. Mates rates, obviously. Oh, cheers, darlings. That's rather nice. Anyway, I'm not reading that out either, Barry. Bloody hell. I mean, at least give it a quarter of an hour before you start lowering the tone. I mean, Barry's just gone in all guns blazing. Well, hey, that's the food sponsorship of the night. Merry New Year to the lovely Greenwood, says Pingu. Boaty's World also sponsored by something that Barry is, God, involving himself in. I mean, the less said about that, the better. And something non-filtered from Barry. How are we all today? Jimmy F500 has returned to be in our midst, and he says, I still haven't recovered from last night's deterioration stream. Pure filth. It did deteriorate a bit, didn't it? And I was going to put this in today's daily diary, and I completely forgot. But this morning, just before lunchtime, I found on YouTube the bit of the documentary that I was talking about during that last half an hour of deterioration and filth and Wendy Whoppers. God above. And yeah, 2001 film called Hardcore. And quite shocking, quite honestly. If you look at part 2 on YouTube, it's not the whole thing, but I mean, yeah, shocking now. Certainly shocking back then. Goodness gracious me. But out of interest, I did find it and I did watch a bit of it, and I was still shocked now. he did write a very nice letter of apology, and it was really very clearly a setup by the makers of the documentary. You know, supposedly it was about a 25-year-old single mother trying to support her child by trying pornography in the States. Whereas at the time that they took her out there and she's doing all of oh, I couldn't do that, and oh, I don't like this and I don't like that. Whereas she was already a very established porn actress here in the UK who'd been in some, well, more hardcore stuff than anything she did out there in the States. They used a false name and everything, so it was a bit of a setup. But anyway, I've not seen last night, says Trace, but it sounds like I need to ASAP. Filthy's hilarious in the right context, says Barry. No argument with that. The last half hour is when it all went tits up, Trace, if you'll forgive the expression. Jimmy says, let's hope some more in the way of intellectual discussion. Yeah, right, feck that. Simone is here, hooked on classics, and says, good evening to you. Shock and horror, says Simone. I actually went out and met up with friends this evening and organised a walk for Boxing Day. Brilliant. Good for you. Now, that is a bit of, I'm going to try and bung in a bit of singles related stuff, just in case one of the buggers actually pulls their finger out and watches one. I mean, I'd love them to get involved. If they actually got involved and became part of the community, then of course we would welcome them. You would welcome them. You always do. And we could quite happily discuss some of the issues that can come about through being single. And it's not being single that tends to be the problem. It's being isolated or being lonely, and the effects that it can have on your mental health, and the effect it has on things like your diet and your way of life and your exercise routine or lack thereof, and therefore your physical health. There's loads there that we could talk about, and loads there that we could all offer joint advice and support and just give a bit of love and a bit of a shit, as we do for like John and other situations that we've gone through like that, and like we did with our friend from the Bigfoot investigation in New York and whatnot. But they'd need to actually come here and interact, and as I say, they're not necessarily the most dynamic bunch. I mean, don't tell them I said this, but I think some of them would struggle to pull in a brothel, to be honest with you. But there we are. It's work in progress, and I am going to I'm going to persevere. But Simone, good for you. I bet you feel better for it, and keep it up. Not in that sense, obviously, but yeah, that is a step in the right direction. And I know that's a pun, and no, I didn't mean to do it. It was entirely accidental. Step in the right direction. Walk on Boxing Day. Please yourselves. Cheeseburger is here. I mean, Cheeseburger is still our ultimate grandmaster of shithousery, but my God, he's got competition. He's got competition. Some of you have been on particularly good form. Neil says, Jesus Christ, he's early. Boaty, you don't want to make a habit of this. Hello all, how are we? Good evening to you, Neil. Dan Peters is with us. Evening. Hope you're all good, Mr. Boaty, sir. I'm grand, Dan. Thanks for asking. Speaking of John, here he is. Hey, chat. Hey, Boaty. Hey, John. Hope you've had a better day, mate. Oh, and Cheeseburger. Yeah. Hi, John. How has today been? And Trace is asking, how are you tonight? Simone. Boaty. How do prostitutes get paid? Income. Dear. Bad Books is here, who is definitely called Mark. It's the other one that isn't called Mark, and I'd like you to not get mixed up tonight. Good evening, all. Good evening, Mark. Evening Mustard. Tracy just said evening Mustard. I haven't seen a comment from Mustard. He's not here, is he? Let me scroll back. No, nothing from Mustard. Although I did notice that the video is up, so he's probably still editing today's video, actually. Not been to bed today, says John, just still dizzy and being sick. But I'm not quite 100% yet. Oh, well, let's hope you get there. Uh, Mustard Mustard is here, Project Nigel, Captain Mustard. And he says 5. Barry says 2. Mustard says, well, oh, you're guessing how many people have watched the video on the Singles YouTube channel. And Jimmy Quinn guessed it together correctly by saying fuck all. And that is indeed the correct answer. Fuck all people have watched it. I love that. I love that. I've not put any links anywhere to it or anything. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to leave it on YouTube to die on its ass. Or maybe, a relatively great oak or mighty oak from a very little acorn may eventually sprout. We will see. I mean, once the channel gets to the point where I can actually do live streams on that channel, then I can do I can do live streams on that channel, and they will be. I mean, of course, you lot will all be more than welcome, and I won't be doing them instead of these. I'll be doing them as well as. But obviously, I'll make them more singles orientated. But until then, I'm just going to have to put the replays of this up there, unless I can be bothered to think of some original content. But to be honest, I'm not going to think of lots of things to do. I've got friends who are very well-known dating coaches and relationship coaches and lifestyle coaches. I'm not thick, and I can empathise, and I've got some advice. I have to cope with all the stuff that everybody else has to cope with. But I don't know if I can be asked for nobody to watch it. I don't mind just copying over this live stream, and I don't mind mentioning it on the live stream. But if no bugger's going to watch it, I'm not going to go to the effort to make much original content. Not until people start. And as I say, and those of you who are single and have joined my singles community will lay testament to, not very dynamic. There have been 2 posts today in a community of 10,000 people. 2 posts. 3 posts. 2 of them were mine, and 1 was an admin. So, in other words, not one single person in a community of 10,000 people could be asked to post anything. Not, hi, how are you? Not, I'm feeling shitty today. Not, I've just had a wank. Anybody else had one today? Nothing. Not a sausage. But I'm not going to give up. Hi, Paul, says Neil. I just watched your video. Oh, okay. Oh, hello, Ben's here. Rose _ and all the rest of it. Tractor. E-boy gum boaters. Oh, I did do a tractor. Yeah. The Daily Diary, my Daily Diary. There was a tractor in it. Oh, I think there were 2. There were 2 tractors, weren't there? Yeah. Check out today's Daily Diary. Available to members only at the moment. Available to the great unwashed tomato. I apologise for that wine burp. We went over this yesterday, darlings. If you sit and just talk non-stop, other things are going to come out of your mouth, and they will include burps. I'm afraid it's just, join in. I don't want to be the only burper. Feel free. If don't bother restraining it if one comes. Wherever you are, wherever you be, let your wind go free, and don't let the want of a burp be the death of me or you. Oh, hello, Sarah Parsons. Good on you, Sarah. Good on you, Sarah, carrying the flag for the singles lot. Oh, God bless you. You are now my favourite Sarah and my favourite Parson. No. Hang on. You are my favourite Sarah, but I can't say that you're my favourite Parsons. You're my second favourite, because my number 1 favourite Parsons will always be Nicholas, the wonderful Nicholas Parsons, who hosted almost every episode of Just a Minute. And the ones that he didn't host, he was a contestant on. And and what a wonderful host he was too. And he seemed to be a jolly nice chap, if you ask me. And my God, what a career the man had. I mean, for those who don't know, Just a Minute is a Radio 4 panel game that's been going since, I think it started in 1863. And Nicholas Parsons hosted the very first one. He hosted the what do you call it? The what do you do? The one before the trial thing. What do you call it? The one they do to see if they're actually going to do it properly. Oh, I can't remember. It'll be in the comments, but I won't get to that bit of the comment for about another 3 months. It might come back to me, but he did that anyway. And he carried on hosting it. And he hosted it right up until his death. And I think he died when he was 143, which meant that he was still hosting prime time Radio 4 with millions and millions. Oh, Pilot. Thank you, Neil. Thank God for you. Right. Oh, hang on. Yeah, the pilot episode, which meant that he was still hosting a primetime Radio 4 show when he was 142 years old. And that's pretty damned impressive. Right, we've got an update from John. So I've just, right. Oh, bless you. Okay. Right, you remember John referred to his friend who very sadly and somewhat unexpectedly passed away recently. It's his friend's funeral tomorrow morning. I only found out this morning as he had an autopsy. They found out he passed away from his Paget disease and a fatal heart attack. Oh, God, well, bless you, John, and every good wish to his family. And this is, of course, hang on, let me get you guys back. I have to press that, then I have to do that. And yeah, this is, of course, the chap that is in a half share on the Static Caravan with John. And I believe, John, you said you'd pledged to keep that going in your friend's memory. So that's good. Do you ever rent it out, John? If you do, let me know and I'll advertise it for you. That's going to be the next thing. I better get through the comments before I start giving you other news, haven't I? Otherwise, I'm going to get hopelessly behind, darlings. Yep. If I'm not careful, I will get all behind like a cow's tail. 31 people watching. That's rather good, isn't it? That's rather good indeed. As Mustard pointed out on Monday, we seem to be quite regularly into the 30s now, which is very nice indeed. Joe is here. Cars with JC, the lovely Joe, who I adore. Evening, everyone. Hope you're all well and had a good day. And we wish the same to you. Yeah, I'm not reading that one out, Barry, but I will unhide it so that everybody else can read it. Neil says, how the hell did you know I upgraded my membership? I only noticed that I wasn't on the higher one, so I upgraded it. Well, I get a thing pop up, Neil, basically. As soon as I looked at the thing, that I was greeted right at the top of my chatty screen with a little green thing. And when a thing in green or blue appears at the top of my chatty screen, it means that somebody has done something lovely. So I looked at it straight away and it said, Neil Gibbons, aka the Gibbinator, aka the very nice man, has upgraded his membership to Connoisseur. So that's how I knew. Oh, it's a powerful situation being a YouTube creator. You have these things at your fingertips. God. Yeah. You have the power to upload a 2-hour video that nobody watches. Now, I've just been pinged by my best friend, the lovely Captain Mustard. And he's got a suggestion for me. He says, tell them something interesting. Oh, right. Right, I assumed you were just taking the piss and having a dig at me, but I think I know what you mean now. Do you mean that I should tell them what you telephoned me somewhat excitedly to tell me about earlier? Is that what you're suggesting I should tell them? Connoisseur level, says Cheeseburger. Does this mean you will pay him for repairing your cars? I don't know. I've forgotten what you get for connoisseur level. I think it's cake, Momo, occasional sex, access to my guest room, something like that. I can't remember. Have a look at the small print and the doings. Trace says, oh, I've missed lots of people with my hellos. Hello all. Sarah says, is anyone in from the other group? Not that I'm aware of, Sarah, but there's you, of course, and thank God for you. You are the one and only. You are the one and only. And Sarah is a lovely Sarah because, oh God, I can't remember. You live in Wales, don't you, darling? But I can't remember if you're actually Welsh or if you just had the good sense to go to, if you're not Welsh, but had the good sense to go to God's own country. And if I remember correctly, Sarah, South Wales, correct? So proper Wales, in other words, because of course North Wales is just a very scenic suburb of Liverpool, and the Gogs are effectively Scousers. Honest to God, I mean, you go around North Wales and you hear more Liverpudlian accents than you do bloody Welsh. So I'm not aware of any other singles peoples in, but if you are here from singles, do announce yourself and let us know. A lonely wonk in a Super 8. It sounds like a 1930s porn film, says Cheeseburger, which is actually quite clever. Yeah, Super 8. Yeah. Dan Peters. Mr. Boaty, a question, if I may. What country produces the best tasting wine, in your opinion? Easy, France. Job done. Cheeseburger says, Neil, I wouldn't let him move a caravan. You can put air in the tyres. Right, I don't know what's in Mustard's video, right? But air was put in those caravan tyres. It just escaped even more quickly than it does out of me. I haven't seen the video yet, so I don't know what's in there and what isn't. But when I've watched it, I will defend myself against whatever it is I'm being accused of. I bet Mustard has edited it so it looks as if I did almost bugger all and he did all of the work. I bet he has. It's amazing what you can do with clever editing. James Wilson is with us. Evening all and evening Joe. Andrew is with us. A good evening, Boaty and everyone. Sarah agrees with me that the best wine comes from France. So you and I, we're singing off the same Welsh hymn sheet there, aren't we, my lovely? Neil says he was blowing out of his arse, moving it. Yeah, you try shoving the bloody... Jesus Christ. I'm telling you, I mean, Mustard and I are two relatively large men, and neither of us are particularly weak. And that caravan on its flat tires did not move easily, I can tell you that. Thank you, Cheeseburger. Exorcism, looking at your teeth, it's an extraction. No extraction there at all, Cheeseburger. They just fall out, mate. They don't need to be extracted. I mean, when it comes to extraction, you're the expert at extracting the piss. Oh, see what I did there? Anyway, you and I will be laughing on the other side of our faces when I go to Turkey and get my Hollywood smile. Oh, yes. And go to make my fortune on the American chat circuit. Oh, God, I am behind on the comments, aren't I? Diddly-do, diddly-do. To be fair, I don't drink much wine. I don't mind a gin and tonic and some nice, decent brandy for Christmas, but not so much on the wine. Don't worry, Dan, I'll have your share. I confess, says Barry, there's a very pretty nurse here in the hospital who I would not say no to. Bloody hell, what do you do? I thought you were in a hotel, not in a bloody hospital. What are you doing in hospital, Barry? I would never cheat on my wife, he makes clear. But anyway, make of that what you will. Andrew says, the pure filth from last night is my fault. Exactly. Nothing to do with me at all. It's all Andrew's fault. Or as is sometimes known, I've a spotty botty. I'm not reading that one out, Cheeseburger. I'm not reading that one out either, actually. Oh, God. Right. James says, I hope you're doing good, Joe. I'm currently listening to vinyl. Paul McCartney. Gosh, well done, James. Are you a bit of a Paul McCartney fan or Beatles fan, maybe? Good boy, Andrew, says Trace. Keeping up the level of filth when I wasn't here. I approve. Boaty does real. Anything for a free brekkie. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And I'm looking forward to doing real again. Oh, and oh no, that won't work. The thing that I'm going to tell you about, or it might actually, that might actually involve real. Although I've only just thought of that. When I tell you about it, we can work it out together. I don't know, says Cheeseburger. I played my part last night. You play your part bloody every night, Cheeseburger. James has been doing bus revision. James? Joe, God's sake. For those who don't know, Joe is currently revising to sit his, I think it's called a PCV test, because Joe is going to be a bus driver. And who can blame him? They earn a fortune. I'm filthy if I've had a couple of beers, says Barry. Well done, Cheesy. I approve, says Trace. Barry Scrotter is here, the lovely Barry Scrotter, who is one of the... Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I mean, that's just unforgivable. Unforgivable, but I will ask you to forgive me. I don't care if you don't, to be honest. I mean, you know, c'est la guerre, as they say in the Dordogne. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, Barry Scrotter is one of the increasing list of people I've had the pleasure to meet in real life. And next year, I hope that list will increase. You are indeed here from the other side, Sarah, but I think you're the only one. Cheeseburger, Joe, Ghost in the Machine was a great album by the Police. The Beatles weren't involved. I quite like the Police myself, says Barry Scrotter. Neil says, singles. All you need to do is buy a Rover or MG, come to the Pride of Longbridge. Oh, God. Oh, that's what you meant. Why would I tell them about that? Nobody's going to be remotely interested in that. Oh, God. Well, okay, I'll tell them. Captain Mustard is trying to buy a dreadful old heap of a car. God knows why you'd find that interesting. It's a right old wreck. I mean, it's a car that was awful when it was new. It didn't improve with age. And the one that he's trying to buy is it's done 250,000 miles. Nothing works on it. Everything's broken. Everything that's supposed to work doesn't work. What else can I tell you about it? It's horrendously slow. It's horrifically ugly. It's overpriced. And what else can I say? And I sincerely hope that he's buying it for himself and not for Mustard and Boaty do cars. Because, quite frankly, that's a car that Boaty doesn't want to do. Thank you very much. I mean, it's, right. Most of you will have seen the Golf, which on Monday, which was yesterday, I named "What the fuck were you thinking?" This car makes that Golf look good. There you go. So there you go. I mean, I hope you're interested in that, and I'm sure you'll join. I mean, I hope he gets it. It's something that he wants. God knows why. And oh yeah, Fred the Shed is dead. We killed him yesterday. He's finished. He'll be off for scrap any minute now. Completely not running. It exploded, went up in a ball of flames, and whatever's left can just be taken off to the scrap heap. It's probably still in better condition than this bloody Mercedes he's trying to buy. God above. I can say all of these things because I won't be seeing Mustard for a while now. And that means he can't sit on my head. And he's got a terrible memory. And by the time I do actually see him next, he'll have forgotten that I said all this. So he won't punish me for it. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Singles. All you need to do is to buy a Rover or MG, come to the Pride of Longbridge and have a group podgering session in the middle of the field, sponsored by Mr. Boaty's Podgering Lube. Right, you can joke about that, Neil, but I'm going to... For a laugh, next spring, I'm going to set up a dogging session or a swinging session that is going to be sponsored by Mr. Boaty's Pottering Lube. And I'm going to see if anybody actually wants to turn up to it. I'll set it up as a proper event. And we can see who the perverts are who say, yep, I'll go to that. Sign me up for the Pottering Lube. Here's my £5 deposit. We could book that Wendy Whoppers bird, couldn't we? Oh dear. Buttocks, says Pingu. Dan says, what is everyone's favourite vinyl? Well, I can tell you who my favourite vinyl is. My favourite vinyl is the Divinyls, who I think they were a bit of a one-hit wonder with a song called I Touch Myself. So there you go, that's mine. Diddly-do, diddly-do. Okay. Mustard is or was defo in the house, says Trace. Thank you for that. What? Oh, Andrew's off. He's got to go. Have a great night, everyone. Mark is here. Good evening, Boaty, and good evening, all. Good evening, Mark. Cheeseburger says, Sarah, John Lennon used to lay lino in Liverpool. That's not easy to say. Lay lino in Liverpool. And yet I got it out first time. Fair play to me. Before he made vinyl. That was before he was shot. I need to read this again from the beginning. General Cheeseburger says, Sarah, John Lennon used to lay lino in Liverpool before he made vinyl. That was before he was shot. He was known as Lino Lennon before he was getting regularly laid. God. Oh, God. I can't. I'll tell you a story, darlings. I do. Well, I won't tell you a story. I mean, I'll give you an insight into my life. And I do this sometimes. I never lie to you. And I never tell you any untruths. And there's not much that I hide from you. There's a couple of bits, but not much. Now, John and Yoko Ono. There was a period when I was going to say when I was courting Chinese madam, but that would be a lie because I didn't court her. She courted me, and I just tried to put her off. But when I'd been, wine turd, there was a point when I'd been persuaded to give this a go, when I thought, actually, this might be rather lovely. Now, obviously, okay, I will do. I will do. I will do, Captain. Obviously, at the point that I was thinking this, Chinese madam was still in China. That was when our relationship was at its best, when she was on the other side of the world. But there was a period of about a week, something like that, where every day I watched the video for Imagine. You know, I'm sure many of you will have seen the video. It's John and Yoko sitting at the piano, and there was a bit in there. I mean, I like the whole video, and I love the song. I absolutely love the song. There's no reason not to. But there's a bit at the end of the video, and I don't know if it was planned or whatever, or if it was acting, but I just thought it was really lovely when they're doing the gazing into each other's eyes bit, and John suddenly just gives a funny little facial grin thing, and Yoko, and I just thought that was so lovely. You know, they looked like a lovely couple who are really in love. And I thought that will be me and we. We will be like John and Yoko. And of course, it didn't quite work out like that because, you know, John and Yoko had that lovely big open room with all of the white curtains and big white windows and all of that. And she didn't say anything. She just walked around with a nice bottom and sat and looked at him as he played the piano, and it was all lovely. And it turned out not to be like that with me and Hui. She filled every available space with appliances for cooking weird Chinese things, or with business type things. And she ruthlessly podgered me on a daily basis when I wasn't entirely either prepared for or or a willing participant for and in it. But there you go. And but it was a lovely period in my life, that thought that where I mean it lasted about a week, where yeah, this is going to be absolutely magical. And I used to watch that video and just think we're going to be a better version of that. Yeah, right. Well done, cheeseburger. Dan Peter says, Mr. Boaty, sir, the channel will most certainly grow because you keep it real and great content. Yeah, but I'm talking about the other channel, the singles channel. I don't keep it real on there, and there is no great content whatsoever. There's one video up there. Nobody's watched it, and I can't be asked to do many more. This'll do okay, probably, but I haven't got great hopes for that one. Lube the like buttons, peeps, says Ben. Well, that would be a great kindness. I mean, there are 28 people watching. I've got 12 likes. A few more would be lovely if you felt so inclined. Oh, Mustard has a question for me. Good. I shall look forward to this. Cheeseburger says, Captain, you can't marry him. It's called bigamy. Bigger you. We bigger him. Sarah says that's because 9,980 of them are no longer following the group. That's what technically, Sarah, that is incorrect, because of course I get the figures, and whilst I'm sure that not all of the 10,000 are following the group, it's not quite 9,980 that aren't, because I can see how many people actually read the post, and it's more than 20. They just can't be bothered to do anything like reply to a post or make their own post or write a comment or something. Barry Scrotter says, what do you want to ask Boaty, Mustard? And Mustard says, Jimmy, cheesy's. No, he's just saying hello to people. Sale of the century, Sarah. Yeah, absolutely. Live from Norwich. The Concordski. The Concordski. Okay. A new name. Maybe I'm amazed to be here, or maybe not. The Gulag may be better. Right, well, this is clearly somebody who's seen this nonsense before and is fully aware of the merit and value it contains. Burps, says Mark. How do you explain the farts? You don't talk out your arse. Well, not all the time. Don't forget to like, says Jimmy. Ben says, at the rate the chat versus our narrator is going, Sir George Roger Boaty will have become sentient, purloined hairiest Paddington's compressor, and inflated his own tragically flattened tyres. Oh dear. Oh, Sarah says, did you ever find out the identity of George Roger Boaty afterwards? I knew anyway, Sarah. I knew who he was all along. I just pretended not to. And I think everybody else knows now, don't they? I mean, George Roger Boaty, George Roger Boaty is or has been a few things. I invented George Roger Boaty I came up with Roger Boaty during a game with Mustard that's on a video somewhere. And then I invented George Roger Boaty because I'd been listening to, what was he called? Mr. Dobalina. Mr. Dobalina, Mr. Bob Dobalina, Mr. Dobalina, Mr. Bob Dobalina, Mr. Roger Boaty, Mr. George Roger Boaty. And then somebody became George Roger Boaty, not at my behest. But I did find out who it was. And it was, of course, Matt. Bless him. The Long Man, or the Amazing Adventures of Stickman, or whatever it is he calls it himself. Yes, Matt, he kind of flounced, didn't he? Still not entirely sure why. Hey ho. But I mean, Matt and his Streetwise have become internet celebrities in their own right now, haven't they? 2024, year of the Streetwise, and all of that. The state of those tyres was disgusting, says Cheeseburger. Barry's after a Chrysler Talbot Horizon, British car sold in America. The Talbot Horizon was sold in the UK as well. I know somebody that's got one. I've seen it. I've seen it in his garage. How do I know it? Oh, we bought a car off him, didn't we? Didn't we, Captain? I'm quite fond of them. Who's Roger Boaty, and is he a capitalist? Don't talk to me about tyres, says Barry Scratter. Cheeseburger says, I think Roger Boaty is a buccaneer. Yeah, well, I named the caravan Mr. George Roger Boaty, didn't I? And yeah, he is indeed a buccaneer. Is your guest room the gulag? No, it's lovely. My guest room is lovely. It's small but perfectly proportioned. And it's got a big walk-in cupboard that you can get loads of dead bodies in. I am Welsh. Newport, says Sarah. Well done, you. Newport, blimey. Newport is... Oh, really, Neil? You may have. Oh, well, that's a tease, isn't it? Oh, well, there's obviously a story there. You'll have to tell me. I'm still all excited about meeting Bruce, but I'm also terrified of meeting Bruce in case I really like him and knowing that you're going to sell him, decide I have to have him. And well, let's not go down that road. It's interesting. If I'm honest, I'm expecting, no, not expecting, that's too strong a word. If I had to guess my reaction to Bruce, I imagine that it'll be okay, but I imagine I won't love it. But I could be wrong. I imagine that I'll just be thinking, oh, this is fine, but it's no Stigma. But I don't know. I don't know. Will the turbo win me over as opposed to the lazy virtual lack of thrust from the V6? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Oh dear. Buddy Scrotter says, cheeseburger. I've only done one tire and wheel. Oh yeah, but I mean, the noise is the best thing about Stigbet, Neil. I mean, God knows he's got sod all else going for him. He's not quick. Well, I mean, he's not slow. 0 to 60 is 7.3. He tops out at 143. So he's not a slow car, but equally you couldn't call him quick. But what he has got is noise in spades. He makes a fantastic noise, much like me. Floorboards in this cottage are terrible. Absolutely terrible. Mustard says, ladies with a Welsh accent, do it for me. Yeah, well, I'm with you on that one, Mustard. Although, heads up, there are other Welsh ladies other than Charlotte Church. Charlotte Church is from Newport, isn't she? I'm sure she is. I remember doing a Facebook thing when Charlotte Church, I was doing Twitter at the time. That's right. I was on Twitter. Don't have anything to do with it now. Don't like it. It had gone into a bit of a cesspit before Elon Musk asked it up even further, and now I just can't be asked. But she tweeted, she'd had quite a public fallout with Katie Hopkins, and she tweeted that she would challenge her to a celebrity boxing match. And I thought, this is wrong. And I actually sent Charlotte a message, or tweeted a message. And I said, celebrity boxing match. Charlotte, darling, you're a Newport girl. Just nut her in the street. That's how it goes down in Newport. Yeah, Newport and Cardiff. That's how it goes down. There are no celebrity boxing matches. You just nut them in the street, and then go and get half and half down Caroline Street. Oh dear. My dad was Welsh from Cwmbran, says Barry. Cheeseburger. Oh, right, now we're talking punctures. Diddly do. Diddly do. Hollywood Smile, says Cheeseburger. The nearest you're going to get is a Hollywood Bowl. You wait and see, mate. You wait and see. Oh, you work in a hospital, Barry. You're staying in a hotel in St. Louis, but you work in a hospital. There we are. If I could cheat on my wife, it would be a miracle, says Simone. Well, I mean, God, there's an aspiration. Unknown user. Message retracted. Okay. Puncture talk. Is Mustard buying an Ital? Can't be if it's done 250,000 miles. A right old wreck. That's no way to talk about Paul Bryan, says Ben. If I go to Pride of Longridge next year, says Simone, I will probably have to sleep in the car. I'm not reading that one. Oh, Mercedes. I've had a few in my time, says Cheeseburger. What type? Oh, God, I don't know. It is, oh, God. I don't know. It's an old one. It's an estate. It's a diesel. It hasn't got a turbo. It's one of those old Mercedes with the big flat wide seats and the stupidly enormous steering wheel. And I mean, they're just hateful things. Absolutely awful. Uh, uh, ah, right. This message was retracted by the unknown user. But Trace says, yes, you've said it a few times on Project Nigel and Boaty's lives, although I always don't know what relevance it has to the conversation. It's not the anniversary. So I've got no idea what that's all about. Swinging session. Are you digging up Tony Bennett? And Sarah loves Tony Bennett. Ben says, no worries, we'll all be helpful and remind Le Capitaine Moutard. Puncture talk. Mustard says, I do want it for myself. It's a proper Mercedes and an even better TC. What's a TC? An even better TC. Not a clue. Not a clue. And thank God you want it for yourself. James says, Morecambe Bay is a beautiful site and Morecambe is a beautiful town. I love going up there. It's only about 30 minutes from me. Lancaster and Morecambe are lovely. There we are. It's a 3 litre mustard. Okay, it's a 3 litre diesel Mercedes. Oh, hello, Carlos Fandango's here. James says John wouldn't have been with Yoko if he wasn't shot by a religious nutter. Hang on. John wouldn't have been with Yoko if he lived, i.e., if he wasn't shot by a religious nutter. The best relationship was Paul and Linda. Now, they're two people who really loved each other, and Yoko is Japanese. John and Yoko would have been divorced by the mid-1980s. Oh, well, there we are. That's taught us. I mean, if she behaved like Chinese madam, I wouldn't have blamed him. Cheeseburgers on form. Video title. Imagine there's no pottering lube. Cheeseburger says, are you going to ruin my lovely memory, Cheeseburger? John finishes the song and smiles at Yoko. He then bends her over the piano, gets out Mr. Boaty's pottering lube, and performs the main event. Oh, well, thankfully that was after the cameras were turned off. Okay, here's a question. Gentlemen, Yoko Ono, would you? You know, back in the day. And ladies, John Lennon, would you? You know, back in the day, before death. For me, it would be a no to John Lennon. Oh, Yoko. Oh, probably need a bottle of wine. I can't remember what I wanted to ask, says Mustard. Another video title from Cheeseburger, live from Norwich. It's the shed of the week. And Trey says, also, who did the posh voice on the track? The name's Roger Boaty. Mr. George, Roger Boaty. Did you not know, Trace? I was surprised by that, if I'm honest. The posh voice on the track saying, the name's Roger Boaty, Mr. George Roger Boaty, was actually Matt, Stickman, Longman. Yeah, he sent it to me via Messenger, and I thought, that's brilliant. I'm using that. Uh, and was that Matt who left over the membership fees? If that's what he left over, Sarah, then yeah, that's the chap. Yes, we did, says Mustard. No idea what that's about. I had real faith in Fred the Shed, says Barry Scrotter. It's a shame. And Cheeseburg says, Sarah, that's the one. Boaty gave him free. Boaty's giving him free membership in January. Well, I mean, if he's watching these covertly, and I haven't blocked him or anything like that, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't dream of doing that. So if he is watching undercover at any point, yeah, he could cop for a free membership. Carlos says, Cheeseburger, I've missed most because I've been in the pub, but I assume as always that's all right and a good thing. I haven't had to listen to this inbred. God. Oh, she lives in Cardiff, Charlotte Church. Thank you, Sarah. Race. Stigbert versus Nigel. What? Don't be ridiculous, Mustard. Don't be ridiculous. A race. Stigbert versus Nigel. That's not a race. Stigbert versus Nigel. Okay, well, if we did a 2 mile race, I'll give you 1 mile head start. Stigbert versus Nigel. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, the only way you would stand a chance is if you were in some way a better driver than I was, a much better driver than I was. And I think we proved. Now, right, when we went to pick that car up the other Monday, and this is on both of our videos, I left you for dead. And I was in a 1.6 and you were in a 1.4. Now, Nigel is another 1.4. Neil, it wouldn't be a race. That would just be a race between me and you. That would be a race between Stigbert and Bruce. I mean, Nigel's not going to play any part in it. Well, I suppose he could, you know, if he set off the day before, he could wave the finishing flag at the finishing line. That we did that, and you were in a 1.4, I was in a 1.6. Are you genuinely suggesting that you and your 1.4 against me in my 2.5 V6 high state of tune supercar would in some way be competitive? Behave. Oh, somebody has done a nice thing. Let me run to that. Oh, Ben has gifted a membership. Make sure you've got your settings done so that you can accept gifts. And I'll whiz through the comments and we'll come to that. We're not all rough from Newport, says Sarah. Well, no, not all. Never heard of Charlotte Church nowadays, says Mark. Did she retire to have kiddywinks? I think she retired to eat pies, because if you see her now, she's the size of quite a large thing. She's the size of Alanis Morissette. I think they must holiday together on the same pie farm, says he, who is obviously no stranger to a pie himself. Look at that veranda over the pleasure gardens. Dear me, what a hypocrite. People in glass mouses shouldn't throw gnomes, and yet I do. Yeah, she had a few sprogs, says Simone. She must be loaded, says Mark. Mercedes 300, says Jimmy Quinn. Yeah, it's a Mercedes 300 Estate or whatever they call it. Oh, TC's tow car. I see, Ben, thank you. Barry says, I'm shouting towing card at the screen. Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I suppose on the yard, just towing shit stuff about won't matter that it's a horrible old Mercedes that everything's broken on. I have to head out, says Barry. Oh, sorry, even better than TC, says Mustard. Oh, Toby Charles. Right, Mustard is saying that this shed, absolute shed of a Mercedes. I mean, right. I looked at the advert for this car. Now, we all know that when people tend to advertise their cars, they tend to put, how can I put it? They tend to put the best rose tinted view of things, don't they? The seller described this 250,000 mile car in terms of, appearance, body condition, average for the year and mileage. So I think we can all imagine what a car that is in average condition, having covered 250,000 miles, and is 30 odd years old, average condition. I think it's going to be worse than Fred the Shed. You know it, I know it. More things work on Fred the Shed than on this Mercedes, and yet the buyer would like, wait for it, 2,500 of the King's pounds for it. Right. Okay. Every saucepan has its lid, as my grandmother used to claim other people said. I used to have a Mercedes when I had some money, says Buddy Scrotter. Very nice it was too. Great car, Paul. Old school, says Jimmy. No, it's a shed. Cheeseburger says, yes, Paul McCartney loved Linda. She wasn't even cold before he shacked up with Heather. Yoko, not for me. Sorry, says Barry. Yoko, why not, says Cheeseburger. Yoko is definitely a 7-pointer, says Barry. I really should buy some memberships. Things happen before I know about them, says Barry. Well, you'd only have to buy one. Oh my God, lol. I had no idea that Posh Voice was Matt. Brilliant. It really was brilliant, to be fair. I'm looking forward to seeing Paul's new video, says Joe. So am I. I'm going to watch it as soon as I finish this. Oh, who got the gifted membership? Oh, Barry, that guy from SETI Alpha 5 got the gifted membership. Thank you so much, Ben. Really grateful. And well done, Barry, and welcome to channel membership. There was a TV with Charlotte doing up a house. That was the last where I saw it. Video title, Who Ate All the Pies? And Trace says Boaty did. Mustard says Charlotte Church is the ultimate mustard lady. Like I say, every saucepan has a lid. And, it's nice that there's a world exists where hugely fat Welsh ladies are sought after sex symbols. I approve of that. Although I should be a sex symbol if she is. The new car has to be called Herman the German, says Cheeseburger. I had a car called Herman the German. I had an A-Class Mercedes, and that was called Herman the German. I loved the 90s E-Class estates. I remember when you could get a mint one for £1,000. Barry says, yes, the Merc is probably past its best age and high mileage. Don't be upsetting me on Fred the Shed, says Neil. He's a good egg. He was a good egg. He's now dead. He is an ex-Fred the Shed. He has ceased to be. If it wasn't for the yard propping him up, he'd be pushing up the daisies. Last of the best Mercs. They became volume rubbish after that. They were shit. A mint one is probably 8K now. They've gone up drastically. And video title, hold on to your members. Video title, Charlotte Church is the ultimate mustard lady. Oh, and another video title, Fred the Shed is a good egg, but now he's dead. That's it, darlings. We have reached the point of no return. We are at 9 minutes past midnight. I haven't told you about the thing I was going to tell you about, which is that details have been further confirmed for the 2nd of January, where Mustard and I will be having lunch with JM on Cars. But it's become a bit more detailed, but I'll talk about that with you on another occasion. I'll just screenshot those video titles. I'll just take a moment to look alluring into the camera. That could be a thumbnail. Cancel all your memberships and get a free one at Christmas. There's only going to be a couple. Is JM pushing Roger Boaty with you? Oh, when is the flat viewing, asked Ben? Not happening for some time. From what I can work out, then while the landlord's been buggering about with the change of title deeds, and while negotiations have been going on, somebody's gone into the letting agents and rented it. So things are going to be a bit delayed. They won't stay there because it's awful up there. And the landlord won't spend the money on it. If I'd have done the walk around with you, you would have seen this. I told you all the time, it needs love and money in equal amounts. And people that move in there, they're just they'll stick it for a month or two, and then they'll move out because the landlord won't do what's needed to be done. We had a flood in our restaurant because the bathroom was so badly fitted and whatnot. And the landlord wouldn't even repair that. We had to do the repair in the bathroom. We paid for it, and we just didn't pay the lease payments on the restaurant for 2 months. So they won't stay up there. You can absolutely guarantee that. So it will probably happen at some point, but it's not going to happen now. So there's not going to be a viewing. And if you're wondering why we would take on this flat that needs so much love and money spending on it, and we estimated that we would need to throw about, well, we think that ideally it needs about 40,000 spending on it, but we would obviously tie it into a commercial lease along with the restaurant, and assuming that we were running it at least partially as a business venture, i.e. the Airbnb, then it would be worthwhile us throwing money at it on an ongoing basis. And through the commercial lease, we would have some surety, and we would obviously, given that it's going to be an ad infinitum situation, we would have screwed the price right down. So I've got no idea who's moved or who is moving in up there, but you watch. We'll keep an eye on the situation, and I bet they don't last more than a month or two. I mean, I know that the letting agency were asking for a minimum of a 12-month contract, which is quite unusual in private renting. It's normally 6-month initial contract and then a rolling 1 month thereafter. They wanted 12 months to try and stop people moving out after 1 month or 2 months. But that's what happened with the last lot, who I was friendly with. They were lovely people. I actually helped them out a bit. And that's how I know what it's like now up there, because, I was round all of it with them. And they signed a 12-month contract, and they were there for 6 weeks, 7 weeks before they sort of said, fuck that. And whilst there is a contract, then obviously anybody would be able to wriggle out of the contract by just saying, look, it's damp, it's mouldy, it's dangerous, there's a mouse infestation, and the landlord's not willing to do anything about it. So we're off, sod you, take us to court if you want to. So anyway, that is my favourite title. Drop Dead Fred the Shed. All right, we'll go with that one, Trace. I've screenshotted it. Does that compromise Sheeson's parking space? Asked Ben. No, because as far as I'm aware, the people in the flat don't have a right to a space in our yard. Now, when Naz was up there, Naz actually owned the whole building, so he parked his car there. Then nobody parked their car there. The people that were there next, which was a young girl who was very nice, and her brother, and they were there for a while. They were there for like 2 years. Don't know how they stood it. They never parked in the yard, and they didn't think that they could. The people that were there for the last 6 or 7 weeks, I let them park there, but that was only because I liked them. So no, it won't compromise Sheeson's parking space. And I'll still think about, depending on how things go, I would still think about possibly moving a couple of more cars over in that direction. But there we are. I mean, it's kind of a shame about the flat, but probably work out better for us, because I guarantee you the people, you shouldn't stereotype. Now, the people that were there lastly, they were, I think, 2 families of Africans. It's probably why I like them. I like Africans. And they were, they'd come over on one of these modern slave packages where they were working as carers in the community. So in other words, they get help to come over, and then they get treated like slaves, where they're forced to work 14-hour days. Otherwise, their visa is taken away, or they're not allowed their passport. It's an absolute disgrace, and something should really be done about it. And the way they had to live was bloody unforgivable. And the last thing they needed was a really bad flat. And I have a suspicion that it might be the same situation again, judging from what I've seen, but I guarantee you they won't last. And that might work well for us, because if we get another lot in there who are out within a month or two, then the landlord is going to be even more inclined to say, right, I'm fed up with this. You guys have it, because if we take it on, then he doesn't have to worry about it. He just gets money going into his bank every month. We don't ask him to do any repairs, nothing like that. That's the way the commercial lease is done. It's whatever you call it, a repair and renewals lease, and it would be the same with the flat upstairs. So we'd probably get a better deal out of him in 2 months' time if this happens. But I'll keep you updated. Wind it up, Boaty. Babe Station is calling. Okay, that's it, darling. So yeah, I'm going now, Mustard. All right. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And do join me same time, same place tomorrow night, 11 o'clock tomorrow night, Wednesday night live, for more of the same nonsense. Thank you to Neil for upgrading his membership. Thank you to Ben for gifting a membership. And thank you to you all for watching. Oh, God, that looked a bit creepy then, didn't it? It's gone midnight. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for your video titles and all of that nonsense. And have a safe and peaceful night. And have a great day tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow night. I'm off to make some supper. Much love from me and good night. Look, that's me waving.